Brianna Hayes pushed her cleaning cart down the fifth-floor hallway of the Grandview Hotel, her back aching from the morning shift. She had 3 more rooms before her lunch break, 3 more chances to make enough in tips to cover Simone's after-school program this month. The program cost more than Brianna wanted to admit, but her 7-year-old daughter needed somewhere safe to go while Brianna finished her shifts. The hotel owner rarely visited the guest floors. Mr. Pierce usually stayed in his executive office or attended meetings in the conference rooms. So when Brianna saw him step out of the elevator, her stomach tightened with worry. Had someone complained about her work? Was she being too slow? She quickly straightened her uniform and kept her head down, hoping to pass unnoticed. But Mr. Pierce wasn't there for inspections. Simone had slipped away from the break room where Brianna had left her with a coloring book and strict instructions to stay put. The little girl wandered down the hall, curious about the fancy hotel where her mother spent so many hours. She'd been good all morning, but the hallway called to her with its thick carpet and shiny mirrors. Jonathan Pierce rounded the corner and stopped dead in his tracks. The child standing in front of him couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. She had beautiful brown skin, neat cornrows with colorful beads, and a bright yellow dress that seemed too cheerful for the sterile hotel hallway. But none of that was what froze him in place. It was her eyes. They were his eyes. The same unusual gray-green color that ran in the Pierce family. The same exact shape. The same way they crinkled slightly at the corners, even when she wasn't smiling. And there, on her left temple, just below her hairline, was the Pierce birthmark. A small, distinctive patch of lighter skin in the shape of a crescent moon. Jonathan had the same mark. His brother Thomas had the same mark. His father and grandfather before them. Simone. Brianna's voice cracked with panic as she rushed forward. "Baby, I told you to stay in the break room." The little girl looked up at Jonathan with those impossible eyes, and something in her face shifted. Recognition without understanding. A feeling she couldn't name but somehow knew. "Dad." The word came out soft, confused, tentative. Brianna's face drained of color. "Oh my God. Mr. Pierce, I am so sorry. She doesn't. I don't know why she." Her hands shook as she pulled Simone close. "Please, I can explain. This has never happened before." But Jonathan couldn't speak. He stared at the child, at the birthmark, at those eyes that could have been his own staring back from a mirror 35 years ago. His mind raced through possibilities, each one more impossible than the last. "My office," he finally managed. "Both of you. Now." How could a child Brianna never mentioned exist with the Pierce family features? Should she tell the truth and risk everything? Drop a comment below with what you think is happening. The walk to Jonathan's office felt like a death march. Brianna held Simone's hand so tightly the little girl whimpered. This was it. She'd be fired. Escorted out by security. 7 years of careful boundaries, of keeping her personal life separate from work, destroyed in one moment. Rachel Kim, the hotel manager, met them at the office door. Her usually warm face was creased with concern. "Jonathan? What's going on?" "I need you here for this conversation," Jonathan said quietly. He gestured for Brianna and Simone to sit. "As a witness." Brianna's throat closed up. A witness. This was worse than being fired. She sat on the edge of the leather chair, pulling Simone onto her lap even though the girl was getting too big for it. Jonathan sat behind his massive desk, his hands folded so tightly his knuckles were white. "I need you to tell me everything. Right now. Who is this child's father?" The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Brianna swallowed hard. The truth had been buried for so long, it felt strange to speak it out loud. His name was Thomas. Thomas Pierce. Jonathan's face went absolutely white. "I met him 8 years ago at a community center fundraiser. He was volunteering, building playground equipment. We dated for about 3 months." Brianna's voice shook, but she kept going. "He was kind. Funny. He never told me about his family or money. He said he wanted to make his own way in the world." "Thomas died 8 years ago," Rachel whispered, putting a hand over her mouth. "I know," Brianna said quietly. "Car accident." I saw it on the news a few weeks after we stopped seeing each other. I was already pregnant, but I didn't know it yet. By the time I found out, he was gone. Jonathan stood abruptly and turned toward the window. His shoulders were rigid with tension. Why didn't you come forward? Contact the family? I tried, Brianna said, and the old pain crept into her voice. I called the number listed for Pierce Holdings. Got transferred 5 times, left messages that were never returned. I looked for his parents, but everything was locked down tight. Private. No one would talk to me. She shifted Simone in her lap. The little girl had gone very quiet, sensing the adult tension. I was 20 years old, Mr. Pierce. Pregnant, alone, working 2 jobs. I didn't have money for lawyers. After a while, I stopped trying. I figured Thomas's family either didn't know or didn't care. So I raised my daughter myself. Our family didn't know, Jonathan said hoarsely. He turned back around, and Brianna could see tears in his eyes. Thomas died before we could tell him, before we knew ourselves that he had. He couldn't finish the sentence. A daughter, Rachel said gently. She moved closer to Simone, kneeling down to the child's level. What's your name, sweetheart? Simone Hayes, the girl said in a small voice. Am I in trouble? No, baby, Jonathan said roughly. He pulled a tissue from his desk and wiped his eyes. You're not in trouble. Not at all. He came around the desk and knelt in front of Brianna and Simone. Up close, the resemblance was even more striking. The same widow's peak hairline. The same slightly crooked left eyebrow. The same way her nose wrinkled when she was uncertain. Simone, Jonathan said carefully, I'm your uncle. Your father Thomas was my brother. My identical twin brother. The little girl's eyes went wide. I have an uncle. You have a whole family, Jonathan said. His voice broke. If you'll let us be part of your life. Brianna tensed, waiting for the conditions. The demands. The lawyers and custody battles she'd feared for 7 years. Instead, Jonathan said, I want to help. I want to support both of you. Whatever you need. School, housing, medical care, anything. Please. Let me do this for my brother's daughter. Mr. Pierce. Brianna started. Jonathan, he corrected gently. Please. We're family now. Jonathan, Brianna tried again, her voice shaking. I don't want to take advantage. I never wanted money or. I'm offering it freely, Jonathan interrupted. You raised my niece alone for 7 years. You've done an incredible job. But you don't have to do it alone anymore. Brianna looked at her daughter, at those impossible eyes that finally made sense, at the crescent birthmark that connected her to a family she'd never known. She thought about the overdue bills on her kitchen table, the eviction notice she'd hidden in a drawer, the growing hole in Simone's only pair of winter boots. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Thank you. Jonathan smiled through his tears. Thank me. Brianna, you've given our family the most precious gift imaginable. Thomas's child. A part of him that we thought was lost forever. He stood and went to his desk, pulling out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. And my accountant. We're going to set everything up properly. Education fund, trust, everything Simone will need. Rachel touched Brianna's shoulder gently. This is real, she said softly. He means it. Jonathan is a man of his word. The lawyer arrived within an hour. David Chen was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and an efficient manner. He listened to the whole story without interruption, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. First things first, he said when Brianna finished explaining. We'll need to establish paternity legally. That means a DNA test. Brianna nodded. Of course. Given the obvious family resemblance and the birthmark, I don't anticipate any issues, David continued. But it's necessary for the legal paperwork. Simone will need a birth certificate amendment, access to family medical history, and her name added to the trust. Trust? Brianna asked. Jonathan leaned forward. My parents set up trusts for any future Pierce grandchildren before they passed away. There's money waiting for Simone. Has been for years. We just didn't know she existed. The number David mentioned made Brianna's head spin. It was more money than she'd earn in 3 lifetimes. I can't. She started. It's hers by right, Jonathan said firmly. Thomas would have wanted her to have it. Would have fought for it himself if he'd known. What about custody? Brianna asked, the fear finally surfacing. Are you going to try to take her from me? Jonathan looked horrified. Never. Brianna, you're her mother. You've raised her, loved her, sacrificed for her. I just want to be part of her life. Uncle Jonathan. Family. That's all. I need that in writing, Brianna said quietly. She'd learned to protect herself over the years. Please. I need to know she's safe with me. Absolutely, David agreed. He made another note. We'll draw up an agreement. Full custody remains with Brianna. Jonathan has visitation rights as an uncle. Everything legal and clear. They talked for 2 more hours. About schools, about health insurance, about the townhouse Jonathan owned that had been sitting empty for 6 months. About Brianna's job at the hotel and whether she wanted to continue or pursue other opportunities. I like working, Brianna said. I need to work. But maybe not housekeeping forever. What did you want to do? Rachel asked. Before Simone, what were your plans? Brianna hesitated. Hotel management. I had 2 years of community college done when I got pregnant. Never finished. Finish it, Jonathan said immediately. I'll cover tuition. And when you graduate, there's a management position waiting here if you want it. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Jonathan's voice was gentle but firm. Brianna, please. Stop fighting this. Let us help. Is accepting this much help too risky, or is Brianna finally catching a break she deserves? Tell us what you think in the comments and subscribe for the next chapter. Simone had fallen asleep in Brianna's arms halfway through the meeting. The little girl's face was peaceful, unaware that her entire world had just shifted on its axis. She looks like him, Jonathan said softly, watching his niece sleep. When Thomas was young, he had that same peaceful look. Like nothing could ever hurt him. I wish he'd known her, Brianna whispered. He would have been a wonderful father. Tell me about him, Jonathan said. The Thomas you knew. Not my brother, the Pierce heir who was expected to take over the company. The man you fell in love with. Brianna smiled despite her tears. He was building a jungle gym when I first saw him. Had sawdust in his hair and paint on his jeans. He was singing off-key, some old rock song. When he saw me staring, he just grinned and said, I know, I'm terrible. But the kids don't seem to mind. Jonathan laughed, the sound thick with grief and joy. That's Thomas. He couldn't carry a tune to save his life. We'd go to this little diner on Tuesday nights because they had half-price milkshakes. He always got strawberry. Said it reminded him of summer. Brianna's voice grew distant with memory. He talked about traveling, seeing the world without a trust fund or a famous last name. He wanted to earn things himself. He was running from our father's expectations, Jonathan said quietly. Our dad wanted us in the business. Thomas wanted freedom. We fought about it the day before he died. The words hung heavy in the air. I never got to apologize, Jonathan continued. Never got to tell him it was okay to choose his own path. And now? He looked at Simone. Now I get a second chance. To do right by his daughter. To be the family he would have wanted for her. David finished his notes and stood. I'll start the paperwork tomorrow. DNA test first thing next week. We'll have everything formalized within a month. After the lawyer left, Rachel brought in sandwiches from the hotel restaurant. Brianna realized she hadn't eaten since breakfast, and it was nearly dinner time. What happens now? She asked Jonathan as she ate. Now, Jonathan said, we take it one day at a time. The DNA test is a formality. Then we start building a relationship. If you're comfortable, I'd like to spend time with Simone. Get to know her. Let her get to know me. She needs stability, Brianna said. Routine. I don't want her confused or scared. We'll go at her pace, Jonathan promised. Dr. Catherine Brooks is a family therapist I know. She specializes in situations like this. New family dynamics, blending relationships. Would you be willing to see her? All three of us together? Yes, Brianna said immediately. Anything to make this transition easier for Simone. The townhouse is available whenever you want it, Jonathan continued. 3 bedrooms, backyard, quiet neighborhood with good schools. I'll have it cleaned and ready. We have an apartment, Brianna said, though the word apartment was generous for the cramped 1-bedroom where Simone slept on a pull-out couch. I know, Jonathan said gently. But you have an eviction notice for next month. Rachel told me. Brianna flushed with shame. Of course Rachel knew. The hotel manager was kind, but she was also thorough. Background checks on all employees. I'm not judging, Jonathan said quickly. I'm offering help. Please take it. Brianna looked at her sleeping daughter, at the crescent moon birthmark that had revealed their truth, at the impossible situation that had somehow turned into a blessing. Okay, she said again. Okay. The DNA test was quick and painless. A cheek swab for Simone, a sample from Jonathan, and a 3-day wait for results that everyone already knew would confirm what their eyes could see. In the meantime, Jonathan asked if he could take Simone to the park on Saturday. Brianna's mother, Patricia, insisted on coming along as supervision. The older woman had been skeptical of Jonathan's motives until she met him and saw the tears in his eyes when he looked at Simone. That man has lost something precious, Patricia told her daughter. And now he's found a piece of it back. Let him love this child. We could all use more love. The park outing was careful and sweet. Jonathan brought a new kite, bright purple with streaming rainbow tails. Simone squealed with delight as it caught the wind. Patricia sat on a bench nearby, watching with hawk eyes. She likes butterflies, Jonathan called over to Brianna, who'd been given the afternoon off work. I noticed the stickers on her backpack. Obsessed with them, Brianna confirmed. Wants to be a lepidopterist when she grows up. A what? Simone asked, running over with the kite string in her small hands. Someone who studies butterflies, Jonathan explained. He knelt down to her level. That's a very big dream for a very smart girl. Mama says I can be anything if I work hard, Simone said seriously. Your mama is absolutely right, Jonathan agreed. He hesitated, then asked, Simone, would you like to visit a butterfly conservatory with me next weekend? It's a special place where butterflies live all year round. Simone's eyes went wide. Really? Can we, Mama? Brianna felt her chest tighten with emotion. If Mr. Pierce, if Uncle Jonathan is offering, then yes. Uncle Jonathan, Simone repeated, testing the words. You look like the picture Mima has. Of my dad. Jonathan swallowed hard. We were twins. We looked exactly the same. So when you look at me, you're seeing what your dad looked like too. Did he like butterflies? Simone asked. He liked all living things, Jonathan said softly. He would have loved you so much. The little girl thought about this for a moment, then wrapped her arms around Jonathan's neck in an impulsive hug. He froze for half a second before carefully hugging her back, his eyes squeezing shut against tears. Patricia caught Brianna's eye and nodded approvingly. The DNA results came back on Wednesday. 99.9% probability that Jonathan Pierce and Simone Hayes shared a genetic connection consistent with uncle and niece. David the lawyer filed the paperwork immediately. That same week, Jonathan took Brianna to see the townhouse. It was in a tree-lined neighborhood 15 minutes from the hotel. The building was brick with white shutters, a small front garden, and a backyard with a swing set. The previous tenants had young children, Jonathan explained as he unlocked the door. They moved out of state for work. I haven't had time to find new renters. The inside was beautiful. Hardwood floors, updated kitchen, 3 actual bedrooms with closets. A bathroom with a tub and a shower. Windows that let in natural light. Space to breathe. It's too much, Brianna whispered. It's empty, Jonathan countered. And you need a home. Simone needs a home. Please. I'm not trying to buy your affection or gratitude. I'm trying to take care of my family. But the rent is waived, Jonathan said firmly. Consider it part of Simone's support arrangement. She needs a stable home. This is it. Brianna walked through the rooms, imagining Simone having her own space. A real bed instead of a pull-out couch. A backyard to play in. Safety and stability. "When can we move in?" she asked. Jonathan smiled. "This weekend if you want. I'll arrange movers." "We don't have much furniture," Brianna admitted. "Then we'll get more," Jonathan said simply. "Whatever you need. Make a list." The move happened on Sunday. Patricia helped pack while Jonathan coordinated the moving company. By evening, Brianna and Simone were unpacking boxes in their new home, and Brianna couldn't stop crying. "Happy tears, Mama?" Simone asked, patting her mother's face. "The happiest," Brianna confirmed. Jonathan appeared in the doorway with bags of Chinese takeout. "Thought you might be too tired to cook." They ate sitting on the living room floor since the new furniture wouldn't arrive until Monday. Simone chatted about her bedroom, about the backyard, about the butterfly conservatory trip planned for next Saturday. "Thank you," Brianna said to Jonathan when Simone went to explore her room again. "I don't know how to thank you properly for all this." "You already have," Jonathan said. "You gave my brother's daughter a loving home. You kept her safe and happy. That's the greatest gift anyone could give." Patricia, who'd been quietly observing, spoke up. "You're a good man, Jonathan Pierce. I see why Thomas kept you separate from his other life. He wanted to protect the good parts." Jonathan's eyes grew shiny. "I wish I'd known him the way you all did. The real him. Not just the responsible twin, the heir, the one who was supposed to take over everything. He loved you," Patricia said with surprising gentleness. Brianna said he talked about his twin brother. "Said you were the better businessman, but he was the dreamer. Said you balanced each other." "We did," Jonathan whispered. "And now I have a chance to honor that balance. By being here for his daughter." Simone ran back into the room. "Uncle Jonathan, will you read me a bedtime story? Mama packed my books but I can't find them yet." "I'd be honored," Jonathan said, his voice thick with emotion. Brianna watched him follow her daughter upstairs, this stranger who was becoming family, and felt the last of her resistance crumble. They were going to be okay. More than okay. They were going to thrive. 2 weeks after moving into the townhouse, Jonathan invited them to dinner at his estate. Brianna had never seen where he lived, only knew it was in the expensive part of town where houses had gates and long driveways. Patricia came along for moral support, wearing her best church dress. Simone wore a new outfit Jonathan had bought, a purple dress with butterfly embroidery that made her feel like a princess. The Pierce estate was overwhelming. The main house was a colonial-style mansion with columns and manicured gardens. Brianna felt severely underdressed in her department store slacks and blouse. "Don't be nervous," Jonathan said as he greeted them at the door. "It's just a big empty house that needs life in it." He'd hired a chef to prepare dinner, but the meal was served in the casual breakfast room instead of the formal dining room. "I want this to be comfortable," Jonathan explained. "Not intimidating." After dinner, he took them to his study, a room lined with bookshelves and family photos. He pulled out albums, carefully showing Simone pictures of her father. "This was Thomas at 7 years old," Jonathan said, pointing to a photo of 2 identical boys in soccer uniforms. "That's me on the left. We looked so much alike that our teachers couldn't tell us apart." "Which one is my daddy?" Simone asked, leaning in close. "The one on the right, with the slightly bigger smile," Jonathan said. He was always smiling. There were photos of Thomas through the years. Graduation pictures, vacation snapshots, candid moments that captured a man Brianna had only known briefly. She saw glimpses of the person Thomas might have become if he'd lived. He wanted to build things, Jonathan said, showing a photo of teenage Thomas with a carpentry project. Houses, playgrounds, community centers. He said there was dignity in creating spaces where people felt safe. "He built me a jewelry box," Brianna said softly. "Right before the accident. It's one of the few things I have from him." Jonathan's eyes widened. "Do you still have it?" "Of course," Brianna said. "It's one of my most precious possessions." "Could I see it sometime?" Jonathan asked. "I'd love to see his work." They spent 3 hours looking at photos and videos. Jonathan shared stories about their childhood, their teenage rebellions, their different approaches to life. Simone absorbed every word, hungry for knowledge about the father she'd never known. "Your grandmother would have adored you," Jonathan told Simone. "She passed away 5 years ago, but she loved children. Always wanted grandchildren." "I'm her grandchild," Simone said matter-of-factly. "You are," Jonathan confirmed, his voice breaking. "You absolutely are." Before they left, Jonathan pulled Brianna aside. "I want to offer you the management position we discussed. Rachel is ready to start training you whenever you're comfortable." Brianna blinked in surprise. "Already? But I haven't finished my degree yet." "You can do both," Jonathan said. "Online classes, flexible scheduling. The hotel will cover tuition. And the position comes with a significant salary increase." He named a number that was triple what Brianna currently made. She nearly fainted. "That's too much," she protested. "It's the standard rate for hotel management," Jonathan countered. "Plus, you'll be working harder than you do now. Learning new skills, taking on responsibility. You'll earn every penny." Should Brianna take this huge career leap, or is she moving too fast into Jonathan's world? Comment your thoughts and hit subscribe to see what happens next. "I don't have the right clothes for management," Brianna said weakly, grasping at any excuse that made sense. "Clothing allowance is included," Jonathan said with a small smile. "Brianna, please. Stop finding reasons to say no. Let me help you build a better future for yourself and Simone." Patricia spoke up from across the room, where she'd been examining a painting. "Take the job, baby. You've been working 2 steps below your potential for years. It's time to rise up." Brianna looked at her mother, then at Simone playing with a puzzle Jonathan had given her, then at Jonathan himself. This man who'd appeared in their lives like an answer to prayers she'd stopped praying. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it." Jonathan's smile was radiant. "Excellent. Rachel will be thrilled. We'll start your training next Monday." As they drove home that night, Simone talked non-stop about the photos, the stories, the big house with its library and pool. Patricia sat in the back seat, unusually quiet. "What are you thinking, Mama?" Brianna asked. "I'm thinking that man is lonely," Patricia said softly. "Lost his brother, lost his wife, has all that money and space with no one to share it. And now he's found family again. Don't be surprised if he wants more than just Sunday dinners, baby." "More?" Brianna asked. "More time. More connection. More family," Patricia clarified. "That child fills a hole in his heart. Make sure you're prepared for how close this might all get." Brianna thought about this as she tucked Simone into bed later. The little girl was already calling Jonathan Uncle Jonathan as naturally as breathing. Already looking forward to their weekly outings with genuine excitement. "Mama," Simone said sleepily, "do you think Daddy would be happy? That we found Uncle Jonathan?" "I think he'd be over the moon," Brianna whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. "I think this is exactly what he would have wanted." The next week, Brianna started management training. Rachel was patient and thorough, teaching her everything from scheduling to conflict resolution to budget management. The work was challenging but exciting. Jonathan stopped by the training sessions occasionally, offering encouragement and answering questions. Brianna noticed how he treated all the staff with respect, how he knew people's names and asked about their families. He was a good man running an ethical business. On Wednesday, he asked if Simone would like to visit his office after school. Brianna agreed, and Jonathan picked her up from the new private school he'd enrolled her in. The two of them spent an hour coloring in his executive suite while he worked on contracts. This became their routine. 3 times a week, Jonathan picked Simone up from school. They'd spend time together doing homework, talking, building their relationship. Every Saturday, they did something special together. The Butterfly Conservatory, a children's museum, a trip to the zoo. Brianna watched her daughter blossom under the attention. Simone had always been bright and curious, but now she glowed with confidence. She talked about Uncle Jonathan constantly, shared her daily adventures, asked when they could visit the big house again. "She loves him," Patricia observed one evening. "Really loves him." "I know," Brianna said. It's wonderful and terrifying at the same time. Why terrifying? Patricia asked. Because what if something goes wrong? Brianna whispered. What if he changes his mind or decides this is too much or meets someone who doesn't want him connected to us? Simone would be devastated. Patricia took her daughter's hand. Baby, you can't live in fear of losing good things. You accept them with gratitude and faith. That man isn't going anywhere. I'd stake my life on it. For months after that first shocking encounter, Brianna's life had transformed completely. She'd graduated from training and officially started her role as assistant manager. The new wardrobe hanging in her closet still felt surreal. Professional blazers, tailored pants, dresses that made her feel capable and confident. Simone thrived in her new school. Her teacher reported that she was ahead in reading and math, socially well-adjusted, and endlessly curious about science. Jonathan had quietly arranged for her to have a tutor twice a week, ensuring she stayed challenged and engaged. The townhouse felt like home now. Brianna had painted Simone's room a soft lavender, hung curtains, filled the space with books and toys. The backyard had become Simone's laboratory, where she studied bugs and planted flowers. Money wasn't a constant source of anxiety anymore. The trust fund covered Simone's expenses. Brianna's new salary covered everything else comfortably, with enough left over to start saving. For the first time in 7 years, Brianna could breathe. But the biggest change was Jonathan himself. He'd become a fixture in their lives. Sunday dinners alternated between his house and theirs. He taught Simone to swim in his pool. He sat through endless tea parties with her stuffed animals. He attended her school concerts and parent-teacher conferences. You don't have to do all this, Brianna told him one evening after he'd stayed for dinner at the townhouse. Patricia had taken Simone upstairs for bath time, leaving them alone in the kitchen. I want to, Jonathan said simply. He was washing dishes while Brianna dried, a domestic scene that felt comfortable and right. She's my family. You're my family. Still, Brianna said. You have a business to run. A life. You can't spend all your free time with us. Jonathan set down the dish he was washing and turned to face her. Brianna, can I be honest with you? Of course. I was drowning before I met you and Simone, he said quietly. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. I threw myself into work because I didn't know what else to do. The house felt like a mausoleum. Every room reminded me of what I'd lost. Brianna's heart ached for him. Then I found Simone, Jonathan continued. Found out my brother had a child. Found out there was still family, still purpose beyond quarterly earnings and board meetings. You two gave me a reason to live again. Jonathan. Brianna started, but he gently cut her off. I'm not trying to make you feel obligated or guilty, he said. I just want you to understand that being part of your lives isn't a burden. It's a gift. The greatest gift I could have received. Brianna set down her dish towel and hugged him impulsively. Jonathan stiffened in surprise, then carefully hugged her back. They stood there in the kitchen, two people who'd been strangers 6 months ago, now connected by shared love for a little girl upstairs. Thank you, Brianna whispered. For everything. Thank you for letting me in, Jonathan whispered back. They pulled apart, both slightly flustered. The moment felt significant in a way neither was quite ready to examine. The next Saturday, Jonathan took them all to the Pierce family cabin in the mountains. It was a 3-hour drive to a beautiful log home on a lake. Patricia came along, settling into the guest room with her knitting while Simone explored the property with wide eyes. Thomas loved this place, Jonathan said as they walked down to the dock. We spent every summer here as kids. Swimming, fishing, building forts in the woods. It's beautiful, Brianna said. The late afternoon sun sparkled on the water. Simone ran ahead, chasing a butterfly with her net. Jonathan had bought her a whole kit for studying insects, complete with magnifying glass and identification books. I want to make new memories here, Jonathan said. With Simone. With all of you. Would you consider coming here regularly? Making it a family tradition? You really mean that, Brianna said. About us being family. I've never meant anything more, Jonathan said seriously. Brianna, I know this all happened fast. I know it might feel overwhelming sometimes. But I want you to know that I'm committed. To Simone, to you, to being the family Thomas would have wanted for his daughter. Brianna felt tears prick her eyes. You're a good man, Jonathan Pierce. I'm trying to be, he said softly. For her. For him. For you. That evening, they roasted marshmallows by the fire pit. Patricia told stories about Brianna's childhood while Simone listened with rapt attention. Jonathan shared more memories of Thomas, painting pictures of a man who'd been kind, funny, and deeply principled. He would have loved this, Patricia said, watching Simone try to catch fireflies. All of us together. His daughter knowing her family. He would have loved her, Jonathan agreed. His eyes followed Simone as she danced through the grass. She has his spirit. That same joy in simple things. Later, after Simone was asleep and Patricia had retired to her room, Brianna and Jonathan sat on the porch watching the stars. Can I ask you something? Brianna said. Anything. Why haven't you dated since your wife died? The question was bold, but the comfortable darkness made it easier to ask. You're young, successful, kind. Surely there are people interested. Jonathan was quiet for a long moment. Eleanor was my college sweetheart. We were together for 15 years before she died. I didn't know how to be without her. Didn't want to try. And now? Brianna asked softly. Now I'm starting to feel like myself again, Jonathan admitted. Thanks to you and Simone. You've reminded me that life goes on. That there's still beauty and purpose and connection. I'm glad, Brianna said. You deserve to be happy. So do you, Jonathan said, turning to look at her. You've sacrificed so much for Simone. When's the last time you did something just for yourself? Brianna laughed. I honestly can't remember. Then we need to fix that, Jonathan said decisively. Next week, Patricia watches Simone. You and I go out. Dinner, movie, whatever you want. An evening off from being mom. That sounds like a date, Brianna said, her heart beating faster. Does it? Jonathan asked innocently. I was thinking more like friends spending time together. But if you'd prefer to call it a date. Friends is fine, Brianna said quickly, though part of her wondered if that was entirely true. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars, neither quite ready to examine the growing warmth between them. The not-a-date happened on a Tuesday evening. Patricia arrived at 5 o'clock, shooing Brianna toward the door with instructions to have fun and not worry about bedtime. Jonathan picked her up in his personal car, a sleek but not ostentatious sedan. He'd made reservations at an Italian restaurant downtown, the kind of place Brianna had never been able to afford before. You look beautiful, he said when she slid into the passenger seat. She'd agonized over her outfit for an hour, finally settling on a simple black dress from her new work wardrobe. Thank you, Brianna said, smoothing her hands over the fabric nervously. I feel like I'm playing dress-up. You look like yourself, Jonathan corrected gently. Just without someone sticky climbing on you. Brianna laughed. Fair point. Dinner was delicious and surprisingly easy. Without Simone to focus on, they talked about other things. Books they'd read, movies they wanted to see, childhood memories that had nothing to do with the circumstances that brought them together. I wanted to be an astronaut, Jonathan admitted over tiramisu. Spent my whole 10th year reading about space exploration. What changed? Brianna asked. Reality, Jonathan said with a rueful smile. My father sat me down and explained that Pierce men ran businesses, not spaceships. Thomas was there too. He kicked my father under the table and told me I could do whatever I wanted. He was a good brother, Brianna said softly. The best, Jonathan agreed. He was braver than me. Willing to walk away from family expectations to find his own path. I stayed and took over the company. Do you regret it? Brianna asked. Jonathan considered this. I used to. But now I see that we each had our own journey. Thomas got to live authentically, even if it was too brief. I built something stable and successful. Neither choice was wrong. And now you have Simone, Brianna added. Connecting both paths. Exactly, Jonathan said warmly. She's the bridge between who we were and who we're becoming. After dinner, they walked through the downtown area. It was a mild evening, perfect for strolling. They window shopped, commenting on ridiculous luxury items neither of them needed. Although, Jonathan said, pausing in front of a jewelry store, I've been thinking about getting Simone a special gift. For her 8th birthday next month. Her birthday, Brianna breathed. She'd been so caught up in the changes that she'd nearly forgotten. I can't believe she's turning 8. What does she want? Jonathan asked. A microscope, Brianna said with a laugh. She's obsessed with looking at things close up. Leaves, bugs, anything she can find. A microscope it is, Jonathan said decisively. And maybe we could throw her a party at the estate. Invite her classmates, do a butterfly theme. Jonathan, that's too much. It's her first birthday where she has a whole family celebrating, Jonathan interrupted gently. Let me do this. Please. Brianna smiled. You're very hard to say no to. Is that a yes? Jonathan asked hopefully. That's a yes, Brianna confirmed. They continued walking, and somehow Jonathan's hand found hers. It felt natural, comfortable, right. Brianna didn't pull away. Can I tell you something? Jonathan asked as they reached his car. Always. I haven't felt this content in years, he said quietly. Just walking, talking, being with someone who understands. Eleanor was wonderful, but these past few months with you, it's different. New. Exciting. Brianna's heart raced. Jonathan. I'm not trying to pressure you, he said quickly. I just wanted you to know that spending time with you makes me happy. Not just because of Simone, but because of you. It makes me happy too, Brianna admitted. Scarily so. Why scary? Jonathan asked. Because I don't want to mess this up, Brianna said honestly. You've given us so much. Changed our lives completely. If something went wrong between us personally, it could affect Simone. I can't risk that. Nothing's going to go wrong, Jonathan said softly. He squeezed her hand gently. But I understand your caution. We'll take this as slow as you need. The drive home was quiet but not uncomfortable. When they reached the townhouse, Jonathan walked her to the door. Thank you for tonight, Brianna said. I had a wonderful time. We should do it again, Jonathan said. Soon. I'd like that, Brianna said. They stood there for a moment, the air charged with possibility. Then Jonathan leaned in and kissed her cheek gently. Good night, Brianna. Good night, Jonathan. Inside, Patricia was waiting with a knowing smile. How was the Notre date? It was perfect, Brianna admitted, touching her cheek where Jonathan had kissed it. Mama, I think I'm falling for him. Baby, you've been falling since the day you met him, Patricia said wisely. You just weren't ready to admit it yet. Over the next few weeks, Jonathan and Brianna spent more time together. Sometimes with Simone, sometimes alone. They went to art museums, tried new restaurants, took long walks in the park while Simone was at school. The relationship deepened naturally, organically. They texted throughout the day, sharing small moments and silly jokes. Jonathan sent Brianna articles about hotel management. She sent him pictures of Simone's latest science experiments. Rachel noticed the change at work. You're glowing, she told Brianna one afternoon. This new position agrees with you. It's not just the position, Brianna admitted. They'd become friends over the months of training. It's Jonathan, Rachel said knowingly. I've noticed how he looks at you. Like you hung the moon. Is it inappropriate? Brianna worried. Him being my employer? He's your family first, Rachel said practically. The employment is secondary. And honestly, I've never seen him this happy. Not even before Eleanor got sick. Simone's birthday party was a massive success. 20 kids from school, all dressed in butterfly costumes, running through the Pierce Estate gardens. Jonathan had hired face painters, a magician, and had the pool area decorated with butterfly streamers. The microscope was a huge hit. Simone spent an hour showing her friends various specimens she'd collected, explaining magnification levels like a tiny professor. She's remarkable, Dr. Brooks told Brianna. The therapist had become a regular presence in their lives, checking in monthly to ensure Simone was adjusting well. Well-adjusted, confident, secure. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We're just loving her, Brianna said, watching Jonathan help Simone set up slides for her friends. All of us together. That's exactly what she needs, Dr. Brooks said. Consistent, reliable love from multiple sources. She's thriving. As the party wound down and parents collected their children, Simone ran to Jonathan and threw her arms around his waist. Best birthday ever, Uncle Jonathan. Thank you. You're very welcome, sweetheart, Jonathan said, hugging her back. Though I can't take all the credit. Your mom did most of the planning. You both did, Simone said wisely. She looked between them with those two knowing eyes. You make a good team. After Simone was in bed, exhausted from her exciting day, Brianna found Jonathan cleaning up streamers in the garden. You didn't have to do this, she said, helping him gather decorations. I wanted to, Jonathan said. Today was special. Seeing her so happy, surrounded by friends and family. This is what Thomas would have wanted. You've done more for her than anyone could have asked, Brianna said softly. I've done what any uncle would do, Jonathan protested. No, Brianna said firmly. You've gone above and beyond. You've changed our entire lives. Given us stability, security, love. I don't know how to ever repay that. Jonathan set down his trash bag and took her hands. You don't repay it. You accept it. And maybe, if you're willing, you let this keep growing. This? Brianna asked, her heart in her throat. Us, Jonathan said simply. Whatever we're becoming. Because Brianna, I'm falling for you. Have been for months. And I think, maybe, you feel the same? Brianna nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Then let's see where this goes, Jonathan said gently. Slowly, carefully, always putting Simone first. But let's give this a real chance. Yes, Brianna whispered. Yes, let's do that. Jonathan pulled her into a hug, and Brianna felt something inside her settle. This was right. This was where she was supposed to be. 3 months into their official relationship, Brianna woke up one morning with overwhelming guilt. She stared at the ceiling of her bedroom, thinking about Thomas. About the man she'd loved briefly but intensely. About whether falling for his brother was a betrayal. She called Dr. Brooks for an emergency session. Tell me what you're feeling, Dr. Brooks said in her calm, professional way. Like I'm dictionarying Thomas's memory, Brianna admitted. He was Simone's father. Jonathan is his brother. Isn't this weird? Wrong. Do you love Jonathan? Dr. Brooks asked directly. I think so, Brianna whispered. Yes. I do. And does he treat you with respect? Kindness? Does he make you happy? Very much, Brianna said. Then why is it wrong? Dr. Brooks asked gently. Thomas is gone, Brianna. He's been gone for 8 years. You're allowed to move forward with your life. To find love again. But with his brother? Brianna protested. With someone who honors his memory, who loves his daughter, who has proven himself to be kind and reliable, Dr. Brooks corrected. I think Thomas would approve. Don't you? Brianna thought about the man she'd known. Thomas, who'd been generous and loving, who'd wanted her to be happy. He would, she admitted. He wasn't possessive or jealous. He wanted people to be happy. Then honor his memory by being happy, Dr. Brooks said simply. By building a good life with someone who clearly cares deeply for you. Jonathan struggled with similar feelings. He confided in Brianna over dinner one evening, when Simone was at a sleepover with a school friend. I feel like I'm stepping into Thomas's place, he said quietly. Like I'm replacing him instead of honoring him. You're not replacing him, Brianna said firmly. Jonathan, you're nothing like Thomas. You're similar in some ways, but you're your own person. I'm not dating you because you remind me of him. I'm dating you because of who you are. Are you sure? Jonathan asked vulnerably. Completely sure, Brianna confirmed. She took his hand across the table. Thomas was my first love. You're my second. Those are two different things, both valuable, both real. And Eleanor? Jonathan asked. My late wife. Does it bother you that I loved her? Of course not, Brianna said. She was part of your life. Part of what shaped you. I'd never ask you to forget her. We're quite a pair, Jonathan said with a small smile. Both in love with ghosts and each other. The ghosts aren't going anywhere, Brianna said wisely. But they're not standing between us either. They're just part of our history. They decided to be more open about their relationship. To stop hiding it or feeling guilty about it. Patricia had known for months anyway, having the sharp eyes of a mother who missed nothing. About time you two admitted it officially, she said when Brianna told her. That man looks at you like you're the sun itself. The bigger question was when and how to tell Simone. Dr. Brooks recommended honesty. She's a smart child. She probably already senses something. Talk to her together, explain what's happening, let her ask questions. They chose a Saturday morning at the cabin. Simone was building a fairy house by the lake while Jonathan and Brianna prepared lunch. Simone, sweetie, can we talk to you? Brianna called. The little girl came running, always happy to be included in adult conversations. They sat together on the porch swing, Simone between them. What's up? Simone asked. Uncle Jonathan and I want to tell you something. Brianna started carefully. We've become very close over this past year. We spend a lot of time together, just the two of us. And we've realized that we care about each other in a special way. Simone looked between them. You mean like boyfriend and girlfriend? Exactly like that, Jonathan confirmed. Is that okay with you? Simone thought about this seriously. Will you still be my uncle? Always, Jonathan promised. That will never change. And you'll still be my mama? Simone asked Brianna. Forever and always, Brianna assured her. Then it's okay, Simone said simply. I like when we're all together. It makes me happy. It makes us happy too, Jonathan said, pulling her into a hug. Does this mean we're a real family now? Simone asked. Brianna and Jonathan exchanged glances over her head. We've always been a real family, Brianna said gently. This just makes it official. Simone grinned. Good. Can we have lunch now? I'm starving. As she ran back toward the lake to wash her hands, Jonathan laughed. Well, that was easier than expected. Children are resilient, Brianna said. As long as they feel loved and secure, they adapt. She has both in abundance, Jonathan said, pulling Brianna close. From both of us. The transition was smooth. Simone started introducing Jonathan as my uncle who's dating my mom with pride. Her classmates thought it was romantic. Her teacher mentioned that Simone seemed even happier than usual. At work, Rachel smiled knowingly but said nothing. The other managers were supportive. Everyone seemed genuinely happy for them. The only complication came from Jonathan's business associates. At a company dinner, one of the board members made a snide comment about Jonathan's unconventional family situation. Jonathan's response was swift and firm. My personal life is exactly that. Personal. Brianna is an exceptional manager and my family. If anyone has an issue with either of those facts, they're welcome to leave. No one left. Brianna was embarrassed by the attention but also moved by Jonathan's fierce defense. You didn't have to do that, she said later. Yes, I did, Jonathan said simply. You're important to me. Simone is important to me. I won't let anyone disrespect either of you. I love you, Brianna said suddenly. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Jonathan's eyes widened, then softened with emotion. I love you too. Have for months. They stood in the parking garage after the dinner, holding each other, finally admitting what had been true for a long time. A year after their first meeting, Jonathan asked Brianna on a special date. He wouldn't tell her where they were going, just asked her to dress nicely and trust him. Patricia watched Simone with a knowing smile. Don't wait up, she told Brianna with a wink. Jonathan drove them to the Grandview Hotel, the place where everything had started. But instead of going inside, he led her to the rooftop terrace, which had been transformed. String lights hung everywhere, creating a canopy of stars. A table for two sat in the center, set with fine china and flowers. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Jonathan, Brianna breathed. This is beautiful. You deserve beautiful, he said simply, pulling out her chair. Dinner was perfect. The chef had prepared all of Brianna's favorite dishes. They talked and laughed, reminiscing about the past year. About how far they'd come from that shocking day in the hallway. I was terrified, Brianna admitted. When Simone called you Dad that first day, I thought my life was over. I was stunned, Jonathan said. Seeing those eyes, that birthmark. Knowing instantly that she was family. It changed everything. Best change of my life, Brianna said softly. After dinner, Jonathan stood and offered his hand. Dance with me. They swayed together under the lights, wrapped in their own private world. The city sprawled below them, but up here, it was just the two of them. Brianna, Jonathan said softly. This past year has been the happiest of my life. You and Simone have brought joy and purpose back to my days. You've reminded me what it means to love and be loved. Jonathan. Brianna started, her heart racing. Let me finish, he said gently. I know we said we'd take things slow. And we have. But I'm ready for more now. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to help Simone with her homework every night. I want to build a life together, officially, completely. He stopped dancing and pulled back slightly. Then, to Brianna's shock, he lowered himself to one knee. Brianna Hayes, will you marry me? Will you let me be your husband, Simone's father, your partner in all things? Brianna's hands flew to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. Yes, she whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. Jonathan pulled out a ring, a beautiful sapphire surrounded by diamonds. Blue like the butterflies Simone loves, he explained as he slipped it on her finger. It's perfect, Brianna said through her tears. You're perfect. This is perfect. They kissed under the string lights, starting the next chapter of their lives. Will this beautiful proposal lead to the happy ending they all deserve? Comment below and subscribe to find out what happens next. When they got home, Simone was still awake, reading in bed though Brianna suspected she'd been waiting up. Can we tell her? Jonathan asked. Together, Brianna confirmed. They went to Simone's room and sat on either side of her bed. The little girl looked between them with bright, curious eyes. Simone, we have something to ask you, Jonathan started. Are you getting married? Simone interrupted. Both adults laughed. How did you know? Brianna asked. You've been smiling funny all night, Simone said wisely. And Uncle Jonathan keeps looking at Mama like she's made of gold. Smart girl, Jonathan said fondly. Yes, we're getting married. But we wanted to make sure you were okay with it first. Will you be my dad then? Simone asked Jonathan directly. Jonathan's eyes filled with tears. I'd be honored to be your dad. If that's what you want. I want it, Simone said firmly. She threw her arms around his neck. I've always wanted a dad. Then you'll have one, Jonathan promised, hugging her tight. Forever. Brianna watched her daughter and the man she loved, this family they'd built from impossible circumstances, and felt complete peace. Planning the wedding was a group effort. Simone wanted butterflies everywhere. Patricia insisted on a church ceremony. Jonathan wanted something intimate and meaningful. Brianna just wanted everyone she loved in one place. They compromised on a garden wedding at the estate. Spring timing, when the flowers would be in bloom. A small guest list of close friends and family. And yes, butterfly decorations everywhere. I want to walk you down the aisle, Patricia told Brianna one evening while they looked at dresses. I'd love that, Mama, Brianna said, hugging her mother tight. Your father would have liked Jonathan, Patricia said softly. Brianna's father had died when she was young. He was a good judge of character. He'd see what I see. A good man who loves you and your daughter. The months leading up to the wedding were busy but happy. Jonathan started the adoption process, determined to make Simone legally his daughter. The paperwork was extensive, but Dr. Brooks helped them explain it all to Simone in age-appropriate terms. You'll have 2 last names if you want, Brianna explained. Hayes Pierce. Or just Pierce. Whatever feels right to you. Pierce, Simone decided. Like Dad and Uncle Dad, who was my first dad. The child's logic was flawless, if a bit confusing to outsiders. Jonathan sold his big empty house and they all moved into a new home together. Something smaller, warmer, filled with life. Simone got to help design her new room. Patricia got a guest suite for when she visited. "This feels like home," Jonathan said the first night in the new house. They were sitting on the porch while Simone played in the backyard. "Because it is home," Brianna said, leaning against his shoulder. "Where we all belong." The wedding day dawned bright and clear. Simone was the flower girl, wearing a white dress with purple butterfly embroidery. She took her job very seriously, scattering petals with solemn concentration. Patricia walked Brianna down the aisle with tears in her eyes. Jonathan waited at the altar, looking handsome in his suit, his eyes locked on his bride. The ceremony was simple and beautiful. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves. Promises to love, honor, support, and grow together. To be partners in all things. To build a family based on love and respect. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Jonathan pulled Brianna close and kissed her gently, sealing their commitment. Simone cheered louder than anyone. The reception was joyful and relaxed. Dancing, laughter, good food, better company. Rachel gave a toast about watching love bloom in unexpected places. Patricia told embarrassing stories about Brianna's childhood. Simone sang a song she'd written about families that made everyone cry. As the sun set and the party wound down, Jonathan pulled Brianna aside. "Happy?" he asked. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Brianna confirmed. "A year and a half ago, I was struggling to make rent. Now I'm married to an incredible man, my daughter has a father, we have a beautiful home. It's like a dream. It's real," Jonathan promised. "And it's forever." They danced together as husband and wife, surrounded by the people they loved, under a sky full of stars. The first few months of marriage were blissful. Jonathan, Brianna, and Simone settled into their routines as a complete family unit. Mornings were chaotic with school preparations and work schedules. Evenings were calm with homework help, dinner together, and bedtime stories. But not everyone was happy about the new arrangement. At a business conference, one of Jonathan's longtime associates pulled him aside. "Pierce, we need to talk about your situation." "What situation?" Jonathan asked coolly. "Your wife," the man said bluntly. "She was your employee. The optics aren't great. Some of the board members are concerned about favoritism, about your judgment. Brianna is one of the most competent managers the Grandview has ever had," Jonathan said icily. "Her performance reviews are excellent. Her staff respects her. The guests love her. If anyone has concerns, they can review her work directly. It's not about her work," the associate pressed. "It's about perception. About you marrying someone who was cleaning your hotel rooms a year ago." Jonathan's expression turned to stone. "This conversation is over. If you or anyone else has an issue with my personal life, you're welcome to resign from the board." He walked away, fury barely contained. At home, Brianna faced different challenges. Some of her former co-workers whispered that she'd gotten her position through manipulation. That she'd trapped a wealthy man by using his dead brother's child. One day, she overheard two housekeeping staff talking in the break room. "She was one of us, now she thinks she's too good," one said. "Got lucky, that's all," the other agreed. "Right place, right time, right face." Brianna confronted them directly. "I worked hard for my position. I trained for 6 months. I earned my promotion through competence, not connections." "Sure you did," one woman said sarcastically. "That's why you're married to the boss." "I married Jonathan because I love him," Brianna said firmly. "My job performance speaks for itself. If you have a problem with me, take it to HR, otherwise, show some professional respect." She walked out with her head high, but the words stung. That evening, she told Jonathan what happened. He was furious. "I'll fire them," he said immediately. "No," Brianna said. "That would just prove their point. That I use my connection to you for special treatment." "Then what do you want to do?" Jonathan asked. "I want to be so good at my job that no one can question it," Brianna said determinedly. I want my work to speak for itself. It already does, Jonathan said softly. But I understand. You need to prove it to yourself too. Brianna threw herself into work. She implemented new training programs, improved guest satisfaction scores, and streamlined operations. Within 3 months, the Grandview's performance metrics were the best they'd been in 5 years. The whispers quieted. Even the skeptics had to admit she knew what she was doing. Meanwhile, some of Jonathan's extended family caused problems. A cousin who'd expected to eventually inherit the family business cornered Jonathan at a family gathering. So the maid and her kid get everything now, he said nastily. Careful, Jonathan warned. That's my wife and daughter you're talking about. Your convenient replacement family, the cousin sneered. Dead brother's baby mama and a ready-made family. How touching. Jonathan grabbed the man's arm firmly. Listen to me very carefully. Brianna is the best thing that's happened to me in years. Simone is my daughter in every way that matters. If you or anyone else disrespects them, you're out of this family. Permanently. Am I clear? The cousin left the gathering early. Patricia became their biggest defender. When she overheard gossip at her church about Brianna marrying up, she shut it down immediately. My daughter worked 3 jobs to raise that child alone, Patricia said fiercely. She's educated, hardworking, and kind. Jonathan Pierce is lucky to have her, not the other way around. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me. No one took her up on the offer. The worst moment came when Simone overheard a classmate's mother at school pickup. That's the girl whose mom used to clean toilets, the woman said to another parent. Now she's married to the hotel owner. Quite the social climb. Simone came home in tears. Mama, what does social climb mean? Brianna's heart broke. She pulled her daughter close. It's when people judge other people based on money instead of character. It's not a nice thing to say. Why would anyone say that about you? Simone asked. Because some people think money and fancy jobs make you important, Brianna explained gently. But you know what really matters? What? Simone sniffled. Being kind. Working hard. Loving your family. Those things make you important, Brianna said firmly. Not the size of your house or the title on your business card. Jonathan added, your mom is the strongest, smartest, most capable person I know. She raised you alone for 7 years, worked hard every single day, and never gave up. That's what matters. I'm proud of you, Mama, Simone said. And I'm proud of you, Brianna said, hugging her daughter tight. Never let anyone make you feel less than. You are a Pierce, and you come from 2 families of strong, determined people. The challenges made them stronger as a family. Jonathan and Brianna presented a united front against critics. Patricia continued her fierce loyalty, and Simone learned valuable lessons about dignity, character, and standing up for what's right. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Jonathan found Brianna crying in their bedroom. Talk to me, he said gently, sitting beside her. I just want to be enough, Brianna whispered. For you, for Simone, for the job. I'm tired of proving myself. You are enough, Jonathan said firmly. More than enough. You're everything. And anyone who can't see that isn't worth your tears. I'm not crying because I believe them, Brianna clarified. I'm crying because I'm tired of fighting. Then stop fighting, Jonathan suggested. Just live your life. Love our daughter. Do your job well. The people who matter know the truth. The people who don't aren't worth our time. Brianna leaned against him. When did you get so wise? I married up, Jonathan said with a small smile. You taught me. They sat together in comfortable silence, drawing strength from each other, ready to face whatever came next. 2 years after their first meeting, Jonathan stood in his office looking at the photograph on his desk. It showed Brianna, Simone, and himself at the beach, all sandy and sunburned and perfectly happy. The adoption papers sat beside it, finally finalized after months of legal work. Simone was officially Simone Hayes Pierce. His daughter-in-law as well as love. Rachel knocked on his door. The new training program starts today. Brianna's leading it. How many participants? Jonathan asked. 20, Rachel said with a smile. Entry-level staff looking to move into management. Just like Brianna did. Jonathan smiled. His wife had insisted on creating pathways for other employees to advance. She remembered what it was like to feel stuck with no opportunities. She's changing lives, Rachel observed. Just by being herself and creating chances for others. That's who she is, Jonathan said proudly. At home that evening, the family gathered for dinner. Patricia had joined them, as she did several times a week. Simone chatted about her science fair project while Brianna and Jonathan exchanged amused glances. And Mr. Martinez says my hypothesis is really strong, Simone concluded. I might win. I'm sure you will, Jonathan said warmly. You've worked hard on it. After dinner, Patricia pulled out old photo albums. I've been organizing, she explained. Found some pictures I thought you might want. She showed them photos of young Brianna, of Thomas building the jewelry box, of Simone as a newborn. The family's history laid out in images. Can we add these to our wall? Simone asked. They'd created a family photo wall in the hallway, mixing old and new, Hayes and Pierce. Absolutely, Brianna said. Our whole story belongs there. Later, after Patricia left and Simone was in bed, Jonathan found Brianna standing in front of that photo wall. What are you thinking? He asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. About how far we've come, Brianna said softly. 2 years ago, I was terrified you'd take Simone away. Now I can't imagine life without you. I was drowning 2 years ago, Jonathan admitted. Lost in grief and loneliness. Then I found you too. Found purpose again. Found love again. Do you think Thomas would approve? Brianna asked. It was a question she still asked sometimes. I know he would, Jonathan said firmly. He loved you. He'd want you happy. And he'd love knowing his daughter has a full life, a complete family, every opportunity. Brianna turned in his arms to face him. I love you, Jonathan Pierce. I love you, Brianna Pierce, he responded, kissing her gently. The next weekend, they visited the Pierce family cemetery. It was something they did quarterly, bringing flowers and sharing updates with the graves of people who'd shaped their lives. Thomas's headstone was simple but elegant. Jonathan placed fresh flowers while Simone arranged her own small bouquet. Hi Dad, who I didn't meet, Simone said seriously. I'm 9 now. I'm doing really good in school. And I have a dad who's here, who takes care of me and Mama. I think you'd like him. Jonathan's eyes filled with tears. Uncle Jonathan says you were brave and kind, Simone continued. I try to be like that too. I hope I make you proud. You absolutely do, Brianna whispered, pulling her daughter close. They visited Eleanor's grave next. Jonathan placed roses, her favorite flower. Hi Eleanor, he said softly. I brought my family to meet you. Well, to visit you. This is Brianna, my wife. And Simone, my daughter. Simone studied the headstone thoughtfully. Were you nice? She asked. Very nice, Jonathan said. She would have loved you. I wish I could have met her, Simone said. And my first dad. But I'm glad I have you and Mama now. We're glad we have you, Jonathan said, ruffling her hair. As they walked back to the car, Simone skipped ahead, chasing butterflies through the cemetery gardens. Jonathan took Brianna's hand. Do you ever regret how we started? He asked. The chaos, the sudden change? Never, Brianna said firmly. It was scary and overwhelming, but it brought us here. To this life we've built. A good life, Jonathan agreed. The best life, Brianna corrected. At home, they found Patricia had made her famous peach cobbler. They ate it warm with ice cream, laughing and talking about everything and nothing. I'm going to be a scientist, Simone announced. And study butterflies for real. You can be anything you want, Jonathan said. You have the intelligence, the curiosity, and the support to achieve any dream. And if I fail? Simone asked. Then we'll be here to help you try again, Brianna said. That's what families do. We support each other through successes and failures. I like our family, Simone said contentedly. So do I, Patricia agreed. Best family in the world, Jonathan added, reaching for Brianna's hand. That night, after everyone else was asleep, Brianna stood in Simone's doorway watching her daughter sleep. The little girl who'd accidentally changed everything by recognizing something familiar in a stranger's face. Jonathan joined her, slipping his arm around her waist. "Thank you," Brianna whispered. "For what?" Jonathan asked. "For seeing us. For choosing us. For building this life with us," Brianna said. "Thank you for letting me in," Jonathan countered. "For trusting me with your daughter. For loving me despite everything." "There's no despite," Brianna said firmly. "I love you because of everything. Because you're kind and generous and devoted. Because you honor Thomas's memory while building your own relationship with Simone. Because you've never made me feel less than, only more." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the gentle rise and fall of Simone's breathing. "She called me Dad today," Jonathan said softly. "Not Uncle Jonathan. Just Dad." "How did that feel?" Brianna asked. "Like everything I never knew I wanted," Jonathan admitted. "Like coming home." The photo wall they'd created told their whole story. Thomas as a young man, full of life and dreams. Eleanor, beautiful and kind, before illness stole her away. Baby Simone, tiny and perfect in Brianna's arms. Patricia holding her granddaughter with fierce pride. Jonathan and Brianna's wedding day, surrounded by love. And the recent ones, the three of them together, a family unit complete and whole. Their story wasn't conventional. It started with shock and evolved through trust. It was built on loss and grief but grew into something beautiful. It honored the past while embracing the future. "I want to expand the scholarship program," Jonathan said one evening over dinner. "The one we started for single parents pursuing education." "That's wonderful," Brianna said. She'd helped him establish it the previous year, remembering her own struggles with college costs. "I want to name it after Thomas," Jonathan continued. "The Thomas Pierce Memorial Scholarship for Single Parents. He believed in authentic living, in choosing your own path. This would honor that." "He'd love it," Brianna said, touching Jonathan's hand. "Absolutely love it." They announced it at the next board meeting. Despite some initial skepticism about Jonathan's relationship with Brianna, the board had come to respect his leadership. The scholarship program passed unanimously. The first recipient was a young single mother working in housekeeping at the Grandview. Her story was achingly familiar to Brianna. "I don't know how to thank you," the woman said, tears streaming down her face. "Pay it forward," Brianna told her gently. "When you're on the other side, help someone else climb up." "I will," the woman promised. On their second anniversary, Jonathan surprised Brianna with a weekend trip to the mountain cabin. Patricia watched Simone, sending them off with knowing smiles. "Alone time is important," she told them. "Go remember why you fell in love." At the cabin, they relaxed completely. No work calls, no responsibilities, just the two of them and the peaceful mountain setting. "I fall more in love with you every day," Jonathan said as they sat on the dock watching the sunset. "Is that possible? To love someone more constantly?" "I think so," Brianna said. "Because we keep growing together. Keep learning new things about each other. Keep choosing each other every day." "I choose you," Jonathan said seriously. "Every single day. For the rest of my life." "And I choose you," Brianna responded. "My partner, my love, my home." They renewed their vows privately that weekend, just the two of them and the mountain witnesses. Speaking promises that went deeper than the original ceremony, strengthened by 2 years of living them. Back home, Simone presented them with a drawing. It showed their family, stick figures with careful labels. Mama, Dad, me, Grandma Patricia, Angel Dad Thomas, Angel Mom Eleanor. Everyone who made them who they were. "It's perfect," Brianna said, hugging her daughter tight. "We're all family," Simone explained. "Even the ones in heaven. They're still part of us." "That's absolutely right," Jonathan agreed, his voice thick with emotion. They framed the drawing and hung it on the photo wall, the final piece completing their story. Years later, people would ask how they made it work. How a chance encounter led to lasting love. How tragedy transformed into triumph. How a broken family became whole. The answer was always simple. Love. Trust. Acceptance. Gratitude. They chose each other every day. They honored the past while building the future. They created space for grief and joy to coexist. They built a family based not on biology alone but on commitment and choice. The little girl who called a stranger dad had been right all along. She'd recognized something real and true. The connection that would bind them together, transforming 3 separate lives into one beautiful whole. And they lived it fully, gratefully, together.